Yeah, I'm sure you're going to ask about the foul. And I'm sure Matt will address it too. I mean, Matt and I go way back, and I know coaches can be emotional, especially when their best players aren't available to them. I always get concerned about that. You know, I'd be concerned if a hard foul happened to one of our players, and I know that from what I've read that Papa's been playing through a lot of adversity and pain, and he hasn't been practicing. You know, so for him to be able to even be on the floor and get his team to this point in the season, the tournament, is pretty admirable, and he's got a chance to make a living playing basketball. So anytime as a competitor and as a coach you see that, you kind of get a lump in your throat. And I'm glad that we won. It's obviously a little bit of grain of salt because I don't want anyone to suffer an injury, especially someone who's a senior and has had a great career and is a great player and going to make a good living playing basketball somewhere, hopefully at a high level. I think the circumstance of the game led to that, and you know, he did almost too good a job getting open and really forced Ben to make a play that he shouldn't have had to make, but he had to make to not get him an easy one, because if Papa gets going, they're a tough team to play.
Coach Doherty's been saying all year that he assumes Papa Dia is sort of the center of every opponent's scouting report. When he got hurt and went out of the game, did you change your defensive schemes?
Not really. Because they're a system team, they still are going to run the same offense. It's just a different guy handling the ball in the high post and then making the cuts to get in the low post. And I think, like Troy mentioned, it forced them probably to take maybe more threes than they probably would have liked to, because of the dominance that he shows inside. Our guys naturally are able to extend the defense a little bit more to get those threes contested maybe a little bit more, because there wasn't a guy like Pop in the post. But it wasn't like we made that change. If there was anything, it put more of an emphasis on Robert, I thought, you know, because he's the guy obviously right behind him that can put points up, and a guy making threes at almost 50%. As you see with Kevin, threes can really hurt you and get you going pretty quick. So if there was any adjustment, it was just to make sure we had more awareness towards Robert when Pop wasn't in.
Kevin, speaking of Kevin, 3 short of his career high, obviously he was huge for you guys tonight. Talk about that.
Yeah, he's had some games like that. He had 36 against Gonzaga at home. I think he had 36 in the last game. Was it the last game or Air Force?
No, it was
Air Force. He had 25 in the first game against Air Force. He's a pretty confident player and is continuing to grow up. I still want him to be better, as crazy as that sounds. And I think he can be so much better than he actually is, which is good, that he has room for improvement. But he's an unbelievable competitor, and he's starting to really figure out, as our team is at this point in the season, how to get the shots and where to get the shots. One thing he did tonight, I think better than he did ever in his career, was take twos. He actually, 5 for 13 is a good number, you know, but 8 for 10 from 2 is an even better number. Now, I want him to shoot 7 free throws and 7 twos and 7 threes and shoot 50, 40, and 90%. He'll average 24.5 points a game. That's the type of player he can be if he puts his mind to it. But, you know, obviously we're trying to run some plays there to kill some clock, get some movement, and he just was feeling it. You know, as you kind of find out in March, you know, special players can carry a team. I think Derek did that last night for Arizona. You know, certainly Kem is doing that for UConn, and although we're not in that tournament, we still are, you know, one of the 17 teams still playing, and you can see that a special player can really carry a team, especially when you got a guy like Evan who scored 30 in the last game and was a huge part of our win against San Francisco. Only scored 2 points on 2 free throws in the last minute, so it speaks volumes not just to Kevin but to everyone else in the team to step up and rebound well and continue to take care of the ball.
How big was that run right before half where you guys went on that 8-0 spurt to have the momentum going into?
You know, we did that against San Francisco too. This season has been an unbelievable learning experience for these guys. We have a freshman point guard who's really growing into his own right now that had to kind of, you know, work his way into that role. It wasn't assumed he wasn't the starter at the beginning of the year. But we've been able to figure out through some adverse situations where we dropped the ball during the season. We had 3 or 4 games where that had happened to us on the other end, and we weren't able to recover. So we've been able to go back and look at those instances to help us, and it's certainly helping us now, because now there's more sense of urgency. There's no game if we don't take care of that. We were down 11 at San Francisco and made a 10-0 run and cut it to 1. And the 8-0 run, the momentum was big because it was our ball to start the half again. You know, in this game, that was big. It certainly helped us.
You mentioned Evan. He had 30 the other night. Did he just not have any legs with him tonight, or were they doing something defensively to try to take him out of the game?
No, you know, Jeremiah's He's athletic and he's strong. You know, for a freshman, two freshmen or freshman, he's very quick. You know, I thought they did a good job in the first half of keeping constant pressure on Kevin and Evan, frustrating them a little bit. You know, he forced some shots. You know, a typical freshman, he's still a freshman even though he's played 37 games. He's a freshman mistake of maybe forcing some shots to try to get himself going instead of maybe using his teammates to get himself going. Took some ill-advised shots that he was pressured into. But the key thing is the shot, isn't the shots. He had one turnover. He handled pressure to the point of one turnover in 36 minutes. So it's not as much of the shots as it is taking care of the ball and having a chance to get the shots, and that's his main job as our point guard.
With the way Kevin Foster was shooting tonight and the way Evan was shooting tonight, being a freshman, as you said, being a little bit frustrated at some times, did you try to run some sets to get the ball to Foster even more,
well, we put it in
take
his
some
hands.
shots out of Evan's hands?
When we took Evan out, Kevin was playing with the ball in his
Right.
hands. He made some of those shots, and that made it a little bit easier for our guys. And then when Evan came back, we kept it in Kevin's hands because he had the momentum, which made Evan a secondary ball handler, so it took some pressure off him just to not have to worry about it. You know, and that probably helped him a little bit towards the end of the game.
How pleased were you with your guys' rebounding? I think you guys outrated. It seemed like you kept a lot of.
By 12, no. Anytime we've put an emphasis on rebounding this year. We lost the school's all-time leading rebounder 2 years ago. One of the nation's leading rebounders in John Bryant 2 years ago, and we just assumed that he was here to get them all. So we had to kind of make that adjustment last year, and now even more so this year. We really put an off-season emphasis on our rebounding and actually continue to work on that through our 85th practice theater day. We still do something to emphasize rebounding because it's so important, you know. And anytime you can out-rebound a team overall, but also out-rebound on the offensive end, that's a huge bonus. And I think Troy, Mark, Ben, especially up front, have done a great job for us on that.
Any other questions?
How far back you and Coach Doherty go? Could you talk about
My
that?
dad actually recruited Matt when he was a player. My dad was an assistant coach at Hofstra, he was a coach before he became an athletic director, and he's now the senior associate AD at Kansas. Anyone know the score of that game, by the way? Did Kansas win?
They were up big. They were up huge.
Kansas won? All right, good. Rock chalk. My mom will be happy. She got 2 wins tonight. I was tearing her up that she couldn't be here when we get close to them. But she was loyal to KU tonight, which is fine. Matt and I were raised in Long Island. I was raised in Rockville Center. I don't know. I think he was. I don't know if he's East Meadow, but we're both Long Island guys and have ties through the Carolina family. I worked for Buzz Peterson for some time at 3 different schools, and when Matt was at Davidson before he went to Kansas, became a head coach, we've always stayed in contact and had a great deal of respect for him and what he's done. And I'm excited for him because he's got, I look at their roster and what they have sitting out, what they have coming in. They have a fantastic recruiting class coming in, and they have guys sitting out. You know, SMU basketball is going to be something to deal with in this conference. The way that they're playing, what they've done, obviously here with the facilities and you know, being in an area where they can recruit to. I look for Matt to continue to have these type of seasons, and hopefully both of us can play each other in a different type of tournament down the road.